Chapter 1, 1009, Huge Hand. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. It's over. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord stood on top of Heaven Overseeing Tower, looking at the battlefield. In his field of vision, Shadow Sect's sacred Feather City had turned into rubble. Bo Ching, Seven-Star Child, and others had fallen to the ground as corpses. Graceful, chaotic duel stage was heavily damaged. The Gu Immortals' corpses inside were mostly in pieces. Dark clouds faded. A beam of light shot down from the sky. It was shining with golden brilliance. Light burst out. This is what happens to those who defy heaven's will. Ha ha! Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord laughed loudly. But after a few seconds he frowned, feeling suspicious that something was amiss. Oh wait, Heaven Overseeing Tower was damaged and cannot use Fate's strongest attack. Why did it manage to attack earlier? Also, I could not help but laugh earlier. That is not my normal behavior. What is going on? At this moment, Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord could vaguely hear some faint voices in the sky. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord, wake up! Quickly wake up! Wake up! Aren't I awake now? Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord felt greatly surprised. The suspicion inside him grew. Suddenly his body shook. He realized the truth. Oh no! I fell into their trap. Everything that happened is not real. I am inside a dream realm. As he thought of this, he realized more and more issues. Both parties had died too easily, especially Shadow Sect. They were backed by that person after all. Furthermore, the other Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were missing. In the entire tower, he was the only person. I can confirm that I am in a dream realm. However, how do I leave? Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord was anxious. Even though he knew he was in a dream, he did not have unraveled dream like Fang Yuan. Thus, he could not escape from the dream realm. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord was sleeping soundly. Snore, snore, snore. He was snoring loudly, lying down on the concrete floor with a band of Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals around him. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord was not only old, he was very tired. Earlier, in order to repair Fate Immortal Gu, he consecutively refined Gu, and later he spent a lot of time repairing Heaven Overseeing Tower, protecting Heavenly Lotus Sect, and fought intensely with Bo Ching and the others. After that, he found Shadow Sect's secret mastermind and mobilized Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals to use Heaven Overseeing Tower and enter White Heaven. He did not rest at all, traveling towards Yiten Mountain in southern border. And when he arrived, he had to control Heaven Overseeing Tower to engage in a huge battle. Thus, the moment he went into the dream realm, his entire body relaxed. He snored extremely loudly. He was in a deep sleep. Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals surrounded Heaven. Overseeing Tower Lord in the middle, they poured water on him. They used fire to burn him. They shouted until their throats were sore. They tried all methods, but he could not wake up. This was the power of Dream Path. It was beyond this era. Just this one move could not be stopped. Even these rank 8 Heavenly Court Gu Immortals had no way to resolve this. The scene was quite amusing. Outside Heaven. Overseeing Tower, the battle was extremely heated. The sky turned dark as the Grand Tribulation rumbled. Heaven Overseeing Tower floated in the sky, unmoving. Inside the tower, the Heavenly Court Immortals were anxious. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord's soul was deeply in the dream. They had no methods to wake him. All they could do was to use some wisdom path methods to transmit to him, to try and get Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord to wake himself up. On Shadow Sect's side, the atmosphere was no longer as dreary. It was much more relaxed now. Ying Wuxi, good job! This is the power of Dream Path? Amazing! Ah, after so long, you finally have rank 8 cultivation level. Shadow Sect's Gu Immortals surrounded Ying Wuxi. Some of them relaxed, after all. The situation earlier was too dangerous. Some were in awe towards the power of Dream Path. Some patted Ying Wuxi's shoulders and praised him continuously. After fighting for so long, Ying Wuxi with the pure dream reality seeker physique had advanced again, becoming a rank 8 Dream Path Gu Immortal. Thus, he could use a rank 8 Immortal Killer move lead soul into dream. After 2 failures during his 3rd attempt at this killer move, he finally succeeded, sending Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord into a dream. The effect was immediate, with Heaven Overseeing Tower stopping all movements. Shadow Sect's pressure was relieved greatly. Seven-Star Child asked, "How long will Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord be trapped for?" Ying Wuxi answered, "He is a rank 8 Gu immortal who has passed one myriad tribulation. The dream realm can only trap him for several minutes. But even if he escapes, I can still use the killer move to lead his soul into a dream once again." "Good. Yan sure did not create you in vain." Seven-Star Child sighed. At this time, Heaven Overseeing Tower began to move again. "What is going on?" Shadow Sect's immortals were shocked. Someone looked towards Ying Wuxi. Did Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord get out? Earlier, Ying Wuxi's attack was useless on Fang Yuan. He kept entering and exiting. This made the confidence of the Shadow Sect Gu immortals fall. But this time, Ying Wuxi shook his head. He was certain. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord is still in a dream. It seems that the other Heavenly Court Gu immortals are manipulating the tower instead. That was right, seeing that they could not wake up. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord, the Heavenly Court Gu immortals took over Heaven Overseeing Tower. Even though Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord was asleep, the entirety of Heaven Overseeing Tower did not belong to him alone. After Star Constellation, Immortal Venerable died, Heaven Overseeing Tower had become Heavenly Court's public property. Right now, Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord was fast asleep and unconscious. The other Heavenly Court Gu immortals had the rights to take over control of Heaven Overseeing Tower. But soon, Heaven Overseeing Tower stopped moving again. This was seen by Fang Yuan's group. He Lu Lan and Fairy Li Shan had doubtful and angry expressions. What is Heavenly Court trying to do? Fang Yuan's expression was grim. It seems that Shadow Sect used dream path methods to deal with the Heavenly Court Gu immortals, just like what they tried with me. But why didn't they target Heavenly Court's Gu immortals earlier? What is the point of considering this now? We do not have the immortal Gu house to protect us, and Shadow Sect has also lost Sacred Feather City. Only Heavenly Court still has Heaven Overseeing Tower. But they are obstructed by Shadow Sect. We are in grave danger. Fang Yuan, can you use fixed immortal travel again? Tai Bai Yun Sheng was full of worries. I can't. Fang Yuan shook his head, sighing deeply. It seems that now we are dead meat. He Lu Lan smiled bitterly. A harsh light shined in her eyes as she clenched her fists. It is a pity that He Chung isn't dead yet. I cannot avenge my mother even up until death. Fang Yuan glanced at her. He did not speak. After the third Grand Tribulation, graceful, chaotic duel stage in Sacred Feather City had broken apart. Only Heaven Overseeing Tower was left. Heavenly Court was the hope of Fang Yuan's side, but that hope had vanished. Not even considering a fourth Grand Tribulation, simply the 10 Extreme Formation was something Fang Yuan and the others could not hope to survive against. Is this really it? Fang Yuan inspected Spring-Autumn Cicada. Too little time had passed. It had not recovered much. It could not be used again. At this time in the sky, the sound of a zither playing could be heard. Right now was daytime, but the sky was shining with endless starlight. The music entered the formation, into the Gu immortals' minds. Oh no! The 10 Extreme Formation also defends against sound path methods, but the formation cannot block this zither music at all. This is the fourth Grand Tribulation, Zither Mind Tribulation. And the starlight in the sky, it is so bright even during daytime. This is the fifth Grand Tribulation, Starflow Tribulation. Why is it so dangerous? The fourth and fifth Grand Tribulations appeared together. Seeing this, Shadow Sect's Gu immortals shouted. They forgot about both Heavenly Court and Fang Yuan for the moment. In Heaven Overseeing Tower, Heavenly Court's Gu immortals also drew in deep breaths. The might of the Grand Tribulations increased according to the number of tribulations. The fourth tribulation, in terms of might, surpassed the first three Grand Tribulations together. As for the fifth Starflow Tribulation, it was stronger than Zither Mind Tribulation. Absolute Piercing Rain, Immemorial Light Deer, and Relic Vajra Tribulation combined. What is Shadow Sect trying to refine? They actually attracted such fury from heaven to send down such terrifying disaster. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals and Fang Yuan had many questions. The two grand tribulations had not descended yet. They were still storing power. Shadow Sect's Gu immortals had grim expressions. They barely managed to endure the first three tribulations. And now the fourth and fifth grand tribulations were here. Anyone could feel the deep animosity of heaven. It was not going to give Shadow Sect any way to live. What now? At once, Shadow Sect's Gu immortals were lost and helpless. Their immortal Gu house was destroyed. The 10 Extreme Formation had suffered a huge blow from the third grand tribulation. Even if all the Gu immortals were sacrificed, they could not defend against these two grand tribulations. It seems that we are going to die in the grand tribulations after all. He Lulan sighed. Fang Yuan squinted. He had a different opinion. Regardless of what Shadow Sect was trying to refine, they had first created the 10 Extreme Immortal Zombie Lifeless Formation, killing Southern Border's Gu immortals to use their immortal apertures and bodies as Gu refinement material, before sacrificing all of Zombie Alliance's members as fuel. Furthermore, they even lost 7 immortal Gu houses. The price that Shadow Sect paid was unheard of. If Fang Yuan had not seen it himself, he would not believe it if anyone told him. Since they paid such a huge price, Shadow Sect was not going to give up. The zither music suddenly became louder. It was heard by everyone. The immortals' expressions changed. They felt the world spinning. Some of them fell down. The zither mind grand tribulation had started. In the sky, starlight gushed down like a huge blue tsunami. It extended over an endless distance, crashing down. Starflow, grand tribulation. Shadow Sect's immortals had firm expressions that were prepared for death. They encouraged each other as they charged forward. Only Ying Wuxi was left, dealing with Heaven Overseeing Tower. Fang Yuan's side was on the ground. They had pale expressions, desperately resisting the power of the zither mind grand tribulation. Heaven Overseeing Tower was a rank 9 immortal Gu house after all. It was still floating in the sky. Without an immortal Gu house, how can we survive 2 grand tribulations? Dying from the might of heaven and earth. It has to be more glorious than dying from old age in bed. Fairy Li Shan had a dazed expression. She looked at the sky. Blood flowed out of her 7 orifices. She had already given up on resisting the zither mind tribulation. The others were still desperately holding on. At this moment, an incredibly powerful aura with supreme strength burst out of the ruins of Yiqian Mountain. An immortal aperture's entrance opened. This was Shadow Sect's blessed land. Earlier, the Shadow Sect headquarters that Binding Bing could not find had already been placed here long ago. Feeling this aura, all of the Gu immortals' hearts shook. Even the rank 8 Heavenly Court Gu immortals had pale expressions. Their eyes were full of fear. Shadow Sect's immortals had overjoyed expressions. Our main body has appeared. Boom! A huge and monstrous, ghostly hand moved out of the immortal aperture's entrance. The rank 9 aura grew immensely. A formless shockwave swept across the battlefield. Rocks broke and rumbled. Dust and smoke rose. This is? He Lulan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng were tongue-tied. Spectral soul demon venerable. Inside Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord had finally woken up. He felt immense pressure in his mind as he exposed the identity of the ghostly hand.